From Australia,
Crowd goes wild.
the crisis actor complete
Go wild.
for Revolution Radio on Revolution Radio. That's right. Now, ideas are fresh, uncensored mostly, and you can pretty much say whatever you like. That's really pretty good. Except swears. We don't do swears. That's one thing we don't do. But in order to preserve our freedom to say all of these things, it is important that the station stays in business. In order to achieve that, it requires your support, if you can. The donation is good. Any currency, including crypto, is more than welcome. And it's really easy. You just go to the homepage, Revolution Radio, and you just follow the bouncing ball. But maybe you can't. Maybe you can't donate. That's okay too, because we are living in a time of almost unprecedented pressure on the middle class as well as the working class. And that means, of course, that money is in short supply. So tell people about the station if you're in that situation. Tell them about the station. Wear the shiny side out merch if you can. You can afford it. Maybe tattoo shiny side out on your forehead. Actually, no, don't do that. That's not a good idea. Let's not do that. But if you can donate, that would be great. Today is the 4th of June,
Wow, where's
2024. To the abyss, my friend. Always into the abyss. If you don't know what the answer is the abyss. That's correct.
Aliens.
Aliens. You catch the cave on the air, on the line all the time, and on your smart device. That's right. And they're getting smarter. Be careful. Because someone is listening to you all the time. And you can grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home on the Grace Tabletop Digital Radio. To us, that is. You can listen to us. But everybody else, I guarantee it, are listening. They're all listening to you. All of them. Maybe we'll have a bit of a chat about that in a second. Why not go and use the archives? Because they're free. Another good reason to donate. If you can. But the archives are free. Go in there. Just binge the content. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast, and for Mr. Danger.
Yes, it is the Dark Angel.
For my own self, of course, it is the Darak people, and we would like to pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. Thank you. Dave, what an interesting... I know we say it more and more now. Maybe it becomes redundant after a certain time, but I do feel that things seem to be rushing along. Right? They're rushing along. There's this things are happening at breakneck speed. Now we have this week and last week we had two unprecedented legal situations. One. A former president, I should say, which is now running for the second term, was convicted of a felony in a state court, not in a federal court. And this week we had the son or the child of a sitting president, also in court. I think this is federal court. It's Hunter Biden on gun charges. Yeah, it's a federal court, and so his father could actually, if he got convicted, his father, if he wins the election, can pardon him, which I'm sure will happen if he wins the election. Right? But that's. I mean, this is a sign of the times, because I'm not saying times were better. I'm not saying that. I mean, always hard times. Don't get me wrong. But I do firmly believe, I really believe, that people in public office, presidents, prime ministers, while not perfect by any means, I do believe there was a certain decorum, there was a certain way with which they composed themselves. They or rather comported themselves. There was a certain way you were, right? Integrity, ethics, and such. At the very least,
I think I just vomited a little bit into the back of my throat then.
Sure. At the very least, that's how. That was the perception, and I do believe we had statesmen.
Perception, yes.
Oh, but I think there were statesmen. These days, I think statesmen are few and far between. So when I talk about a statesman, I'm talking about someone like Winston Churchill. Was he a perfect human being? No, but he was a statesman. And you can even argue that Hitler and Stalin were statesmen, right? Terrible people, but they had conviction and they drove countries, and at least you knew where you stood, right? There is no, you did, right? It was the same with even with Mao. And
stand in the pit while I shoot you. Sorry, that's terrible. Yeah.
Well, no, but look, the honest truth is that human history is drenched in blood. Right?
Totally. It doesn't matter
one gets off
what century we're talking about.
Oh, any century. Konrad Adenauer was a German statesman after World War II, right? And there were statesmen. Eisenhower, I think I mentioned that, right? I think Kennedy was a statesman. Okay, and we used to have them. They were there. I mean, you look at these people and go, well, you are making decisions that move history, that are made for the right reasons. You yourself might not be a perfect human being, and Kennedys were flawed, maybe more so than others, but at least they comported themselves in a certain way. Now, I don't know, Dave. Is it because we have more access? Is it because it's just a different kind of people now? They're just different people now, right? Is it no longer possible to sweep this under the rug? And if it isn't, then where are the Clintons in all of this, right?
Good luck starting your car.
Whatever. What do you do? But the thing is, I really feel that I look around the global arena, I don't see any statespeople, like statesmen or stateswomen. Not a one. Not one.
Did you see the Richie, is it Sunak?
Sunak.
Yeah, whatever his name is. So, apparently, there's someone about to challenge him.
For what?
The seat.
Leadership of the Tories? Or?
Yeah, the leadership, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, look, I get
because he failed miserably. I know people don't care about England, right? I don't care. I'm making a point here because it has the same Westminster system and it's party political, not individuals. People get connected to an individual though. And the funny part is that when Richie was there with the vaccine injured discussion, he did a very poor job of listening to people. Entirely. Oh, it's just so rare. Don't and he talked over them. He didn't have almost at all any sympathy for them. And I think that's part. It's many columns, but that's part of one of the vectors, which is losing his power. And again, he's a billionaire. And why does that make a person successful, being ultra wealthy? Does that entitle them to be better at running a country? It's a very good question to raise. And we'll have to see what happens there. In the US, Mekki, I'm flabbergasted. I'm all aghast, I am, with the awful behaviour being perpetrated by the former leader, the current leader, all of the trials and cases and Senate hearings that are currently going on. Your question, which I'll address, your question which was, is it because we have more visibility of it all? That is some of it, but not the entirety. I'm sure if we had this kind of visibility as we didn't, like if we opened this veil 30 years ago, we would see things we didn't want to see. But in this era, you can't hide it. By hiding it, you're misrepresenting yourself. So I'm not suggesting an OnlyFans person runs for president, because maybe they're showing too much of themselves. But there's there used to be a thing, Meki, I'm sure you remember this, where the media that would go to Canberra, which is where our parliament is, what happened in Canberra stayed in Canberra. They didn't report everything, like how many drinks the person had, what jokes they were telling. It wasn't a thing that they did. And that way, the parliamentarian, that they weren't smearing over the front page, would give them leaks or give them prior knowledge to things. And it was a trade. You treat me well, I'll treat you well.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, is that the right way to go about in politics? I don't know. But if you want to control the narrative, then control the narrative. If you're you're an official, you do, and you should be owning your own media. That's what you should be doing, and everyone else goes into they shrink their voice because you're owning it. And this is the sad case, Meki. We're seeing all this stuff happen right now, and it's all coming to a head. November's not far away, and I still wonder whether some of the activities of the last couple of elections in the US will continue through this next one. And I mean this in the most sincere manner, that big tech shouldn't be providing ballot boxes, and that went against the Constitution. However, every state has the ability to have their own rules regarding it, and how many have been changed? Will big tech only remind those people of a certain party's particular persuasion to vote? Will they only remind them? Remember all these things that occurred that we found out in the last election. Will there be yet again the most surprising amount of people, dead or alive, that's ever voted? And I say that tongue in cheek.
No, I understand, and you're not wrong. The thing is this, right? What we're seeing is really not something we've seen before, and I will tell you why it's so dangerous. I have no real opinion on whether or not Donald Trump is guilty of all the charges or not. Did he pay hash money? Probably. Look, the thing is this, right? Having an affair with a porn star is not illegal. Even paying a hush money is not illegal.
That's not illegal.
Okay? The only thing that was illegal here is to declare it as something that it isn't in a business context. That's the problem.
Correct.
It's like when they got Al Capone for tax evasion. That's exactly what this is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, but having said that, now Al Gore, by all accounts, should have won the 2000 election.
That's right.
It was a clear case. I mean, come on, Jeb Bush was governor of Florida at the time. Okay, let's call a spade, right? But anyway, it is what it is. But you know what? The Supreme Court said no. You know what? We're not going to count the chits, the hanging chits. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't win. And he goes, okay. Well, there's a lot more to unpack, and the back and forth and the secrecy, and nobody's clean here. But within the context of the American democracy, he goes, well, okay, well, these are the rules. These are the rules I play by. And if you say you're the highest authority on the matter, you say I lost, well, then I lost.
That's right.
There was no call to arms. There was none of this. The dangerous thing here is this. Now, are our legal systems perfect? No, they're not. In fact, I would say they're extremely flawed. Right? But they work for a lot of people. We don't have murder in the street. I mean, people aren't running around with axes killing each other all the time. It just doesn't happen, right? Yeah, well, thank goodness. But other nations where you don't have a rule of law, that's what happens. It does happen, right? So in the first world nations like America, like Canada, like the European countries, Australia, etc., we have the rule of law, more or less, and not perfect. Okay, but what happened now is that Donald Trump called it into question because it's all rigged. Now this was a jury of his peers in New York, because that's where the crime was being tried. That the judge didn't declare him guilty; he will just sentence him. So the evidence went back and forth here and there, right? And both Trump's lawyers and the state's attorneys had the right to reject or accept the jury members. Okay, but these were 12 people from New York, regular folk, that listened to all of the evidence, such as it was, and then they came up with a verdict. The judge didn't come with a verdict. He did not come. The judge did not find Donald Trump guilty. He will sentence him. Yes, I think July is when he sentenced him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the jury that found him guilty. And in fact,
That's
if it
how
came
works.
down,
Mm-hmm.
if it came down to it, if I were to be tried, I probably prefer to be tried by a jury, because these are regular folk. They haven't got all this legal mumbo
Judged by
jumbo
your
in their head.
peers is what it's supposed to be.
Correct. Now, you couldn't find 12 billionaires in New York, I'm sure. But
They didn't look
the
hard
point
enough.
is, but yeah, but the point is this, right? In the scheme of things, in the context of this particular event,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was probably the most fair way to do this, because again, it didn't depend on the judge. The judge will advise the jury on what to do and how to
Totally.
how to act and so forth.
I've been a juror.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
The judge doesn't really direct you as far as your verdict is concerned, right? He'll make a judgment on certain pieces of evidence, whether or not you should consider them or not, right?
That's correct.
But ultimately, you, as the juror, have to make up your mind. And that's what happened here. So that Donald Trump said, the judge should never have tried this. Well, the judge didn't try it. The jury did, right? And I guess Donald Trump's lawyers' arguments just weren't good enough, right? To prove his innocence beyond a reasonable doubt. So he was convicted by the jury, not the judge. But what he said is it was all rigged, which calls into question, and this is the dangerous bit, which calls into question the entire system that America is under currently, right? If it is true that it's all rigged, that these 12 people were conspiring against him because someone had bought them off or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then you have a serious issue. Do I think that happened? I don't think so. But that's just my opinion. But to call it into question like that, again, you know what Donald Trump once said? I'll never forget this. You can't lose. He was having an interview, and it was like one of those heart-to-hearts. This is years ago. And he said, I can't lose. My father was the same. He could not admit when he was wrong, and he couldn't stand losing. Donald Trump can't admit being wrong, and he can't stand losing. And I get that, right? Now, as a human being, though, you will be wrong at some point, even if you're the Pope. So I feel that when he says these things, because he's hoping, of course, to win this election, right? So is he going to reform the law courts? Is he going to throw all the judges out? Is he going to make trial by jury a thing of the past? I don't know. But these things he's saying, they're not helpful. They're not helpful, right? Is he going to go to jail? Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. Will he be sentenced to jail? Maybe. But again, like we discussed last time, he will probably argue that if he does get elected as president, that duty supersedes any potential state crimes, and he would have his sentence resumed
deferred until after his second term.
But a lot of things can happen in 4 years. So will you ever see the inside of a jail cell? I would be astounded, Dave. It's not impossible, but I would be astounded if he did.
I heard an argument by someone inside American government who was suggesting that they weren't going to supply, if he went to jail, his bodyguards.
Yeah.
That they were going to withhold them.
Oh, really?
And he wouldn't have protection.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. I mean, they were arguing about how to go about that.
I'm not sure that would, but yeah, go on, yeah.
But that was to my astonishment. that they were willing to do it. Now, if in all fairness here, because I really prefer to be fair,
Yeah.
if in all fairness that argument was being made by someone who was bought or owned, that could allow an Epstein-like thing to occur, even if you were in solitary, lying on a futon, naked. Don't picture it.
Too late. Oh my God!
Oh, it didn't work. I can't get clean. Even if he would have to say he didn't commit suicide. I think that's what we'd have to say. I saw many memes which I can't discuss because that got one of our shows cancelled. I don't want to do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I showed a meme. Remember we used to do Meme of the Week?
Yes, we did.
Yep. One of the memes got the show deleted. And that doesn't matter because I just put it up on Rumble. And I asked people his opinion about whether they thought that was should have been the reason for it. Because memes are everywhere and the government doesn't like memes, let me tell you. Australian government wants to delete all of the memes from the past that discuss or have as the target in the meme the current sitting Prime Minister. Anyway, so look, for someone to argue for removing or not putting his security detail in with him in prison should he be sentenced and made to attend jail in consecutive 4-year stints for 43. They're never going to happen. If that were the case, wow, what is that? I'm making a joke here, right? Is that like wait for this? That bit's true. Now comes the joke. Do you remember when Mr. Burns attended the town hall meeting where they had the money because of the oil and didn't know what to do with it, and
Yes.
he stood up with a moustache on, and what's your name? Mr. Snurb. Yes, that'll do. I think we should give it all to the nuclear power, right? Nuclear power plant. Anyway, so was the person arguing who stood up? Was it a female prior wife of a president with a moustache? I don't know. I'm making a joke. So yeah, look, I think he could pardon himself if he had. He could request, his counsel could request that he doesn't sit the jail term until afterwards. That's valid. I think if I was his counsel, I would ask for that. That's fine.
Oh, completely.
But I'm not sure that it would get up, depending on who the judge is, and I don't think the judge is going to be very friendly to it at all.
Yeah, he burned a lot of goodwill, being himself.
The judge is an idiot, I think you said something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But it is impossible, and I mean this. It is completely impossible for him to not be protected by the Secret Service. It's not because they are him, so they're his detail. Where he goes, they go. If he goes to jail, they go to jail. There's no way at all. It's actually completely impossible for him not to be protected by those guys. So it doesn't matter where he goes.
What if they constructed a certain kind of jail that was like a tower, like Rapunzel's tower? Yeah, just like that.
And there's this long flowing mane of orange hair comes down. No, I don't think so. But it's a nice image.
All right, underground bunker. They put him in some underground bunker somewhere so his detail is safe.
That's just nuts.
He could get day release anyway. The Epstein thing, it's only a light crime. It's only accounting fraud, right, or something, right?
Well, it is pretty much, yeah.
He
But
didn't
look,
kill anybody, so...
And it's a first offense as well. He will not see jail. That's what I'm saying here right now in the air. Because, of course, I mean, we like to speculate because it is such a ridiculous kind of scenario. You like to speculate.
Yeah.
Of course, I do. And who wouldn't? Because it is so ridiculous. And this is the sign of the times that we're in. But I honestly believe that he has a good chance of winning, or had a good chance before this, because now there are some people in the Republican Party that are sort of turned off by this whole charade or the whole, rigmarole a bit. So I don't know if he's got as clear a path to the White House as he did before this. His diehard supporters, they will support him no matter what. Doesn't matter, right? He could be seen eating babies. He still have support. But some of
Do you
the
think
more
the
moderate
Hunter trial will even that out a little?
Maybe. Now, if Joe Biden gets involved, yes, absolutely.
So
If he
you're saying so his minders are saying you can't touch this, otherwise your rating's going to go down, right?
Can't touch it. Can't come out in support of the son. Cannot. And if there's even a hint of a pardon, forget about it.
So
because
remember
right?
Remember the small plastic Ziploc bags of white powder that have been recently found in the White House.
That was flour. That was just,
I didn't say what it was. Right? At least it wasn't anthrax, right?
There's that.
Or if it was,
count your blessings.
I've seen some photos that were released from the laptop, and Hunter would do anything, to be honest, even anthrax. So, that's a joke. It's a joke. What I think would be funny in a crime novel where the police believe that they've captured the serial killer, for instance, in a fictional crime novel, and they've put them in jail, and then suddenly there's a whole spate of killings, and they go, "Well, it wasn't him." Damn it! If those baggies stopped turning up, aha! I think we found our man. But if they continue, hey, it's somebody else.
Yes, well, he was innocent all along.
All along.
Okay,
Except for all the things we saw him do on his laptop. Yeah.
Let's never talk about things that happened again. What? Okay.
You know there was more than one laptop.
Okay. Oh God, I'm not surprised, but I want to give that one.
Because you lose one, you forget one. What does it matter anymore? But not with the same company. It was another one. And so yeah, I'm with you, Becky. I agree that this is probably the most. It's the strangest times.
It is.
In my entire life, I've never seen anything quite so odd. It's not even the Kang and Kodos.
It's not even Kang and Kodos. No, this is worse. This is Kang and Kodos having a fight. That's what this is. Having a domestic. But this is Kang and Kodos' grandparents having a domestic. Okay, I'm sorry. Actually, I don't apologize because I'm right. I know I'm right. No apologies from me.
I saw a meme today. This is to round it out. I saw a meme today which was, if our listeners specifically, because I know Mickey and I know this movie and love it, Idiocracy, when the president in the movie holds up a rifle, an automatic weapon. We all know who it is. It's fun. And the person in the meme has just said, I give up. I just want to stop learning now. Right? Because we're almost there. We're almost at a professional wrestler becoming president. And then we can all, the crops will die because we think electrolytes are needed by the plants. We can wear Crocs, and we can have a toilet in front of the TV. Oh, man. Look at universal basic income. It's going to be fantastic.
The best. Nothing better. Nothing better, brother. Nothing better.
Maybe I can reach out to the government for some UBI sponsorship.
See, now we joke about it, but honestly, I don't think. Again, once
Will
Dave
we
and I are
make it
gone,
that far?
well, that's the thing. Once Dave, well, that's not a question, right? But once Dave and I are gone, so the Generation X is gone, right? It'll be a lot easier to implement all of these things. A lot easier, okay? Especially because everybody's a winner, right? Yeah, we're all winners, hurrah! And, participation trophy. This universal income is like a participation trophy. You didn't do anything.
That's right.
Right? You're not productive, but you're getting something anyway. So
It's
we're
like
getting
DEI.
people used to it, right? It's like, I thought about this a bit, and unfortunately, that's exactly what that is, which is really disturbing. But, I mean, if that's what you want, well, okay, I want to say, okay, you want to, just get something for nothing. You don't want to put any effort into anything. Is that really a good idea?
Do I
How
have to
would
stand
you
in a
feel?
queue to get this? What are we talking about?
No. It'll come into your account, my friend.
Oh, there
Don't
you
be
go.
Crazy.
So, I'm signed up already.
Q. Q. Come on, brother. And a Q.
Are there any stairs?
Just
one.
Nuts to
Nuts
you.
to
No, look. It is. I don't really laugh, but it's not that far away, and we have taught our children that it's good enough to turn up. It's good enough to turn up. I had a discussion around this with a few other people as well from Gen X. We actually had to work for a living. we had to learn stuff and be good at something before we got paid. I spent. Oh, geez, I want to tell you. Because when I was in my late 20s when I decided to go into IT, right? I had misspent my youth entirely on various things I won't mention on the air. But I spent 10, 15, 20, it was a lot of money I spent on a bootcamp course, MCSE, right? Microsoft MCSE, which got me into IT. But you had to do it. You had to actually study. And the whole thing lasted, I think, a couple of months or something like that. Every day, you had to learn and pass tests, and they guaranteed you a job or half your money back. All right, great. It wasn't a great job, don't get me wrong, but it got me in. But I had to do it. There wasn't someone that came along and just said, "Here you go." No effort required. Just sit there. We will bring everything to you. Everything will just happen. Really? Oh, yes. You're special. You're really special. Oh, wow. My mom always told me I was special. Hurrah. No. And this is what really worried me, Dave. When I saw it all happening, in the schools with the children, participation awards, even on Seinfeld when Elaine watches the marathon, you're all winners, and they all just look at her and go, yeah, sure, you're all winners. Actually, it wasn't Elaine; it was another lady, and Elaine was giving her the stink eye because it isn't. It doesn't work that way, right? But we all seem to be under the impression that it does. Now, on a much lighter note, completely not. It's actually much worse. It looks like if Israelis, or Benjamin Netanyahu more specifically, says yes to any kind of ceasefire that doesn't, and they've said it now. Unless we've completely destroyed Gaza and Hamas, they just won't have a bar of it. Those two ultra-conservatives in his cabinet? They said it now. They've said it. Like, Dave and I have been saying this from the start. This is the ultimate plan is to destroy Gaza.
Is to wipe it out, that's right.
Yeah. And the only way you can actually ensure that is to make sure there's nobody left in Gaza, right?
I think that meets the brief.
and you're going to say, well, okay, right. Because that's a whole different ballgame now, right? It is a whole different ballgame, especially having admitted it. That's I think I don't even know what kind of mindset it would take to say something like that. I think it's horrendous. These are people too, but not to those guys.
Well,
not
it's
to
only
those
perspective guys. According to the person who says it. So, I look at what scares. Like I've said this before, I'm not going to say it again. What scares me the most about the people doing the thing that has been done to them. But for me, it's just a reflection of a page in history that's that's come by before.
Yes.
So maybe I think the solution here is just burn all the history books.
Everything looks bad if you remember it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well, look, honestly, that's exactly what happened when they invaded Afghanistan. But aren't these the same guys you used to help against the Russians? Ah! That was so long ago. No, that was just a couple of years ago. Ah!
What?
We don't focus on the now.
These are different people. That's right.
It's different. No, they're the same. No, what? But you're right.
Super Nintendo charmers.
Oh my! These berries taste like burning.
I'm learning.
You gotta love Ralphie. But yeah, it's essentially where we are, though, right? I mean, this is now what it is. I think we should all just get on board with it and embrace it, and just you can't really fight it. I don't think you can. I don't think what's happening in Israel and the attitude that people have there and the general thing, general sentiment of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people are.
I think the general sentiment is stop.
Yeah, but not well. They say stop. Or we need sanctions, or say stop. Who is doing anything to make it stop? Mm-hmm. The Americans are still shipping weapons there. Mm-hmm. So people say a lot of things, Dave. The longer the day, the more things are being said.
Do you know what's extraordinary? The little amount of airplay it's getting.
That's right. Comparatively speaking, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ukraine war, nothing. We don't get anything in our media anymore at all about it. I'm getting all mine from citizen journalism, which is good.
Same.
And X, you get everything that you've wanted to see. And, you're the watcher, the viewer gets to walk with their feet. I don't want to watch that person. I want to watch this person instead. As long as they keep my favor. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? As soon as someone either steps, there's boundaries, and comedians, I tell people all the time that comedians test the boundary to see what was too far, what wasn't too far.
Absolutely.
Comedians do that every single act, every single stage performance. They want to know who's the crowd, who am I delivering to, and it's their job to dance on both sides of the line. And if this was a border town, and you were dancing on both sides of the border, you're going to get shot by one or both of them, and that's the trouble. So the media isn't dancing on the line; they're tucked away safely in some studio somewhere and don't want to mention a bar of it. They don't want to give an opinion. They're not even televising the protests anymore that are occurring every single weekend. Only when there's trouble and there's something for the viewers to see, which would irk them or tug them in a particular direction of thinking, because it's all about, okay, we've got them into this position now. What's the next thing we have to do? Oh, here's this new story. Oh, that would be brilliant. It's no different than a boxing coach saying, give it the old 1-2, right? Give a jab and then swing in for the roundhouse. Or whatever the coach says. It's all based on how that recipient of those punches is currently behaving. And as a people, I think we're in exactly the right spot. They don't want to mention this anymore because they've got us where they want us. Have you considered it that way, Mackie, before?
I think they're counting on our apathy, because it's information overload. I think we are where they want us to be. We've been pummeled with information. We've been pummeled with bad news. We've been pummeled by the pandemic and the lockdowns.
Bird flu's coming.
And then I think, there's that. And I think we've just reached a point, not all of us, mind you, okay? I'm not saying everybody. But I think a lot of us have reached a point, I just can't hear it anymore. I'm sorry, I don't have the capacity to hear anymore. I'm fresh out of you know, my inability to process any more bad news.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are. Yes, I think they have us exactly where they want us, and I think the pandemic was in fact a golden opportunity.
Master plan.
To get us well here, essentially, right where we are. Is there something we can do about it? Not really, because the fatigue is a real thing. It's not a choice.
Mm-hmm.
We don't choose to be fatigued, right? When you go for a run, you will get to a point when you're tired, and that's just how it is. You can't untire yourself all of a sudden, right? And this is the same, where you have been exposed to so much negativity and fear, uncertainty, and worry that I can't take it. I'm at the end of my wit. Sorry, just can't. And that's where we are. We are exactly in the space they want us. I think it was deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Beat them down as much as you can. Oh, you're not beaten down enough yet? Well, I got something else coming for you. And specifically in the first world nations, the third world nations, they're already beaten down. Okay,
that's right. Yeah.
They're just happy to live, right?
Yeah.
But the first world nations, I mean, look around. We sat locked up for months on end, and a lot of us said, okay, well, I'll be honest with you, I didn't. I did pretty much whatever I wanted. With my mom and all that. So, I went around shopping, etc., etc. But a lot of people, they did follow orders, right? This is a. Go on.
My daughter was in hospital, so we were in and out of hospital and having to travel outside of our area. So yes, we were lucky too, I suppose, if you have to count it that way.
And you have to. I mean, look, it's a bad time for everyone, right? But people, it was a test of compliance. How compliant are we? And I have to say, much to our shame, we are very compliant. And there are, of course, people that are hyper there. I mean, there are people that didn't comply. And, kudos to you.
Yeah, sure.
But a lot of us, absolutely. Right? And we also saw where the fault lines are as far as the class warfare is concerned.
That's right. And how the government perceives us as either valuable or non-valuable citizens.
Yes.
So I sent you a message today, Meki, about our government has just announced that permanent residents in Australia from other countries can now be are enrolled. Very important story. Can now be enrolled in the Australian Defence Forces. However, there are some caveats. So they launched the news this morning without any caveats, and now there's caveats already. Because it was a leak, I reckon. And they write policy on the go. So the first part of it was that people from New Zealand who are living here as a permanent resident can, as of the 1st of July, can join our Defence Forces. Now, this is an historic change of policy.
Yes.
Prior to that, it was only Australians.
Yes.
And you were still vetted.
Did you hear yeah. Oh, yeah. But did you hear about the vetting bit?
Yeah, so this is what I know now, right? And people from other countries, also permanent residents, who have lived here for 6 months that haven't been part of any military abroad for 2 years. They're still vetted, so when do we get the guns? Only when you tell me your first name. Right? So they're
Foils
vetted.
Again.
So they're vetted for all of the same things that anyone else would likely be vetted for. But because they're not Australian citizens, they're permanent residents, there's still extra care that is going to be applied to that vetting process. it's no doubt going to be, can't be from this country, can't be from that country, must have, the other things, must comply with our way of life or whatever it is. I'm not sure what it is, but it also allows mercenaries at some future point.
Now,
So,
the interesting thing,
all right. So that they are huge game changers. But why? I don't know why, Becky.
There's another component to this, which I wasn't aware of until I listened to it on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
There was this official, like I forget who, but this person said, we should do away with all those ridiculous hurdles for people to join the force. This is what referring to Australians, right? All these tests and hurdles and fitness and etc. Let's just do away with it. We need more people in the defense force. And I thought, okay, so what? We empty the prisons now, like Mr. Mr. Putin. Is that what we're doing here? Because to me, it sounds like they need. Obviously, they're expecting something. Right?
Exactly.
Why would you do it otherwise? I mean, come on.
And they've examined who they have. And looked around at our naughties kids who would be of right age, and just gone, oh really?
Nah. Nah.
Is there someone before then, right? Who was
what about
before
the Gen
them?
X's?
Gen Ys. Can't we have them? Oh, well, I don't know if you want them. Gen X's were really good, but they're too old.
Too old.
So surely there's good people of young fighting age, the 18 to 35s that have been pre-trained, maybe, right? Pre-trained into it. Maybe they all play Rust, or that's a terrible game. You get shot in 5 minutes for all you lose.
Fortnite,
yeah. All right.
That's it.
So let's glean the Fortnite user list and see if we can make contact with people. Surely we got people who can look through these records and tell us who they are.
You say this jokingly, dude, but I'm telling you, I reckon.
I can have it in 8 seconds, says one guy at the table. In fact, he lifts his phone up and goes, I've just emailed you. There you go.
There you go. Done.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. So, but let's just look at this for a second from what they're expecting to happen. You don't do this unless you expect something. The Germans, for the longest time, had the declining military, right? I mean, literally, it was down to like 100,000 people, I think, in the military, right? And then, now we're going to ramp it up again. Other countries are reintroducing conscription. Other countries are once again rebuilding their national armies, especially in Europe, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, all sending help to Ukraine or whatever.
England's is talking about or has begun their policy changes for conscription.
But let's be realistic here just for a second. I mean, everybody knows where Australia is. I know if you don't believe Australia exists, I assure you there is no Australia. We're right here. And it's pretty much at the bottom of the world. It's really hard to get to. It takes hours and hours, even by plane, to get to Australia from anywhere.
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah, and the only sensible way to get here with an invasion force is by ship.
That's right.
Okay, you can't fly this many, especially if there are no supplies for these people. So if you fly like 1 million soldiers in, you need 10 times as many planes to drop their supplies, and good luck to you with that. So,
and continually
you have to
drop
really
their supplies. Yep.
But you have to really ask yourself, what kind of trouble could we possibly expect? Because the thing is, you can't invade the north. You can't find your way through Australia from the north. It's all desert, crocodiles. It's completely inhospitable. There's no good roads for armies. They just aren't.
That's right.
Okay, so it's not a highly likely scenario.
We're talking like if you wanted to go and take Pine Gap from Darwin, for instance, there's one road. We'll see you coming, and we'll have about 4 days to take you out.
Yeah.
So if you were doing 100 kilometers an hour.
100%.
Which they 100%. Don't. If they're doing 30 kilometers an hour, right, or 15 miles an hour, whatever you want to call it, we've got like 2 weeks that we could take them the whole what do they call it? Not a line, stream. No, the other one. A platoon or whatever, right? Of tanks. So
Yeah, yeah.
you can take them all out, even with our
Yeah,
three planes.
But even if you landed 100,000 people on Pine Gap, like let's say you parachute them in, right?
Yeah, sure.
You're in the middle of the desert. You have no supplies. Chances are that the Australians will go into guerrilla warfare, which is what they're really good at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Australians were actually the best soldiers in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
By far the best. Much better than the Americans.
And in Iraq, our special services dudes went in and out and identified all the targets and left.
Yeah.
No one even knew we were there.
Really,
yeah.
We've got some pretty good soldiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the supply line, that's why Japan never invaded. Japan invaded China. Japan invaded Singapore, Malaysia, etc., etc. The entire Southeast Asian area was completely, even the Pacific Islands.
Yep.
Australia, no, they bombed Darwin and they sent a couple of submarines to Sydney Harbour. It's not like they didn't want Australia. I mean, resources and all kinds of things, agriculturally, this would be a golden thing to have.
They could have done very well had they just concentrated only on Australia.
Yeah. But, of course, it's hard, and they knew it was hard. So, well, what do you do? Well, exactly what they did. Because they knew they couldn't afford to spare the resources to actually come into Australia and, well, conquer it, as it were. It just doesn't work. So that hence my question: what are they expecting, Dave? Because are they expecting us to go somewhere as a strike force, like have enough soldiers there for us to go, right? I mean, defending
I
Australia.
actually think it's to defend Australia.
But
because that's why you need a standing army of whoever it is, whoever doesn't care, right?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
No, I hear you, but I think it'd be insane to try to attack and conquer Australia. It's like trying to start a land war in Asia. It's just something you don't do.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what part of China, you couldn't do it.
It's impossible. The only person in history that has been successful in waging a land war in China is Genghis Khan. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else.
Tartaria.
And he had the very specific fighting force, amazing archers on horseback, and all that. And he could eat up kilometers and kilometers. He had no cities. Really. He had some settlements, but he had no cities. But you can't win.
So I just want to throw this idea out. I texted you anyway. I said about the bird flu, and I actually mean it, because they're culling millions of birds at the moment.
Yeah.
Millions. And they're now announcing on our news that we're due to have egg shortages. So they're saying bird flu is the next pandemic. WHO is talking about it. All the countries in the world have identified it as being the next X. Not X as in X Twitter, but the next X virus, the next one, the bad one. And they're telling us this in advance. And they always radio everything ahead. So I'm lucky I've got a couple of chickens.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm lucky.
Look, absolutely. And I'm just hoping that these are largely things that will happen to caged chickens, factory chickens.
Oh, we have a CME coming in too. It's a mild one. It should hit us in the next 18 hours. So just look out for some aurora.
Oh, cool.
Not global, maybe.
But look, I know we're getting to the end of the show. The puppet show is getting funnier and funnier, I think. And we are in a situation where we would probably prefer the puppet show to what is actually coming. Simply because it is just it's too horrible to behold what they could be expecting or what they want to put us through.
Yeah.
Just be mindful, be aware. look out for yourselves and your family. Follow the news. Be informed. Stay informed. And then be ready. Just be ready. And that's the music. This has been Plato's Cave. Thank you so much for spending an hour with us. And we'll be back on Thursday. With another Plato's Cave. Don't go anywhere. I'm sure something awesome is coming up. And most of all, be safe.